Black people talk mostly to each other in order to argue. That's really why they're talking. They don't know this, but that's why they're talking. They're not trying to learn nothing. They're not, they're just trying to, like I said in the book, show-offism. They're trying to show how much they have learned from white people. But they're trying to show it to another black person because it doesn't make sense to show it to a white person. Because that's just who told them. What do you think a black person is doing when they walk around waving their degree? I hear some black professors and whatnot. I mean, stand up talking about, how much they have learned, and how degreed they are and all like that. And then turn right around and start talking about dumb white folks. And that's who gave them their degree. They came a long distance, some of them all the way from Nigeria someplace, trying to learn. Learn from who? Me? No, they passed right by me. That's the one intelligence that they have. How many black people do you see? And I'll go further than that. How many white people do you see following black people all over the world trying to learn how to get to the moon? That's not where you go. Doesn't work. Anybody who will tell the truth know that don't work.
I know some non-white people who would say there are white people who are not smart. I, in fact, just heard of
a whole lot of them, and they're correct. I'm going to join right in before you even go that way. Yes, a whole lot of white people who don't know a whole lot of things. But you know what? Under the system of white supremacy, they know enough. Because they don't have to know. And what is that enough? Something I heard a white woman say one time. A bunch of black people were laughing at her because they was laughing at the way that she dressed. He was talking about how tacky she was at the way that she dressed. This was on a job that I was on. They were getting on the elevator and they were cracking up at the way that she was dressed. Because she was dressed in what most people would say in an outlandish manner. This outlandish, okay? Like she had gone out of her way to attract a whole lot of laughter, okay? But she heard them laughing at her. She turned around and said one thing. Yes, but I'm white. And walked off.
Wow.
In other words, y'all can laugh at me and dressed in all your fine clothes and all like that, but I can do things that you will never do in your entire life. I can go places. I got connections that you will never have. No matter, your children will never have. That's what she was saying. That was back in the 60s. Those black people on that elevator got dead quiet.
Wow.
Because they knew that she was telling the truth. Say, yeah, I can dress any cotton-picking way I want to. But you got no right to laugh at me. Because when you look at my overall circumstances and yours, no contest. That's what she was saying in just that one statement. Now, she didn't say all that. She just made one statement. But I was standing nearby. I knew exactly what it meant. Yeah, but I'm white, I don't have to dress no kind of way. I don't even have to have clothes on. I'm still in a league better than you. I got connections better than you'll ever have. Right?
Wow.
Yeah. So all y'all on that elevator, just get on it, close the door, and go straight to the ghetto. Well, all white people are told by the white supremacists, those white people who believe in white supremacy, to believe in white supremacy and to practice white supremacy. And it has nothing to do with how much money you have or what kind of shack you live in or what kind of mansion you live in. If you're a white supremacist, you are a member of a world army. And in that army, you have people who have rank, and you have people who are considered to be kind of low in rank, and people in high in rank, but you're still in the same army. And this is the way it has to be looked at if you're going to be realistic about what is the system of white supremacy. What is it really? And how does it work? What is the structure of it? So there's no such thing as a poor white person in the system of white supremacy, if that white person embraces the ideology of white supremacy. That itself makes that white person rich in that white person's mind. Because that person, and some of them have said it, I might be barefoot, but I'm not one of you people. I'm not one of you people at all. I don't care what kind of college you went to. I don't care if you are like that President Obama, that black person that other white people allowed to be where he is, my brothers and sisters. They allowed him to be that. And even though I'm barefoot and I don't fly around in airplanes, I'm still better than he is. Why? Because I'm a white man, that's why. And that's one thing you people can't get through your thick skulls. That's the way we see the world. But you don't see the world the way that we see the world. And so that's why you're in the shape that you're in. Because I have the potential for going where I want to. The only reason I'm up in these hills is because this is where I choose to be. One of the main reasons being I choose to be here, even though I'm barefoot, is to be away from you. Because I don't want you up here with me. And this is one place where you are not likely to come. And I'm down with that. You don't understand our thinking at all, mister. With your black PhD, Harvard education, you don't understand the fundamentals of this world, and that is one fundamental, and that is the system of white supremacy. You are baffled by it, and we like to keep you that way. The white supremacist mindset is not about whether white people suffer. It's whether white people are dominant over non-white people. See, the victims do not understand that at all. We don't understand that type of thinking. But it's a very peculiar way of thinking and a very powerful way of thinking. This question is often asked of me, well, white people kill each other and whatnot. You better believe they do. But look at it like this. It's like two brothers running a grocery store, both of them white. And there is a black person that works in the grocery store. His name is Sam. Take that for an example. He works back in the back stacking goods for the grocery store. The two brothers get into a knockdown, drag-out fight up in front of the store. In fact, one of the brothers calls on Sam to come and help him beat up the other brother. And then, after it's all over, the two white brothers, both of them white supremacists, they shake hands and they say, okay, did I teach you your lesson or not? And the other one says, well, I guess you did. But maybe if we have a dispute next time, I'll beat you. And then they both turn around and look at Sam and say, all right, Sam, it's all over. Get back to work. Now, if you look at it worldwide in just that simplistic term, you will understand more about white supremacy than you did before. Now, if you so-called men, you black males who want to go from boy to man, if you keep insisting on that, I'll make a deal with you. I will not allow you to ever be a man. Because there's only one man in this house. The house being the entire world. And that man is white. Okay? But if you black boys want to go from boyhood to manhood, I'm not going to let you. But I'll tell you, I'll make a deal. Tell you what I'm going to do. You can go from boy to woman.
Oh, no.
Now, if you put on a dress and start switching around like your sisters, And I'll have most of you raised up in a house full of nothing but females, so you'll learn how to put on the clothes and the lipstick and all of that. I mean, so sit there and watch your mother and your sister get dressed. You get dressed right alongside of them. I'll have maybe about 4 or 5 generations of you doing that. So you'll be real comfortable in walking behind your mothers and sisters looking just like them, acting just like them, twisting just like them, looking for a boyfriend like them, because that's what you hear them talking about on the phone. My boyfriend, my boyfriend, my boyfriend. All right? And so you'll be looking for some fella, a male, to come and pick you up and take you for a ride in your new high heels that you borrowed from your sister.
Oh, wow.
And you are a male. The white supremacists are very scientific in what they do. So they got a lot of us hooked at an early age. And, you know, we already know about the choirs and the church and all like that, see, and what all that's about. So they finance all of this. They support all of this. A couple of young white guys will move into the neighborhood, you might say, move across the street, right across from a black church. And they, you know, they move in and they are, you know, collegiate types. And they come over to the black church and they say, we would like to help you with your youth program. All right? And they got the money. I mean, and they know how to do things. They have talent. They come in there and they say, well, the way you're running your church, I mean, you know, it's not fostering anything, I mean, that you're going to not have growth here. Well, we can start keeping your books, I mean, and show you how to grow your church. And this lawn that you got out here, I mean, it's real, it's not well kept. I'm a horticulturist. And me and my buddy here, we can come over on weekends and we can make this lawn, I mean, look really outstanding. I mean, when people come through the neighborhood, they will be amazed at how wonderful this place looks, because it's kind of run down, see? And they will volunteer, you know. They say, we're trying to help the community. We moved in here and we want to help. And see, and then they get in charge of the little boys program. So you want to know why your son is acting the way that he is when he comes home. I mean, he's beginning to act peculiarly. That's because these two white supremacists, which is what they are, when they do this type of thing, have infiltrated you right under your nose. And so the white supremacists will run that through the computer. Well, yesterday we had 18 classifications of sexuality that we're going to spread among the black people to improve their conditions. And you say, and okay, what's the projection for next year? Well, we got 18 now. Next year the projection is 52. 52 different types of sexuality to choose from for you black people. And you say, well, why are you doing this, sir? Well, it's going to improve things for you. You black people want to be improved, don't you? All right. Well, get on board with this. Listen to me. All right. You need to diversify your sexuality. I mean, you know, it's something incorrect. Your sexuality is too limited. You talk about some male-female mess. I mean, you know, well, you need to kind of branch out a little bit. I mean, all you ignorant black people all over the world talking about some male-female. I mean, are you crazy? Male with female? Are you crazy? No. Well, sir, out of all due regard, what should a male do? He's got a phallus, and the female has a vagina. Well, I'll tell you what. The white anus is the new black vagina. How about that, boy? Wow. Sir, what are you saying? Yeah, that's right. And the holy grail of all sexuality, as always, all you dumb, ignorant black people, the holy grail of all sexuality is what? The white female vagina. Black female vaginas are obsolete, boy. Haven't you heard? And you say, no, I haven't heard that, sir. Well, you just heard it now from me. And when I speak, that's God talking, right, boy? Yeah, okay. Let's do a little backslapping here. Let's do a little high five. Wow. You like that? Get on board, all you intellectual black people. We are going to disperse sexuality into thousands of different types of sexuality if we can get you to buy into it, to get you away from what? that black male with that black female. That's what. Because eventually that's what we're going to have to keep doing. We're going to have to make it real uncomfortable for that black female to be around a black male at all and having these little black offspring forever that's making problems for us that we're getting to the place we can't govern. So we got to disperse your sexuality where you will trade in all your sexuality for some fancy bling bling around your neck, and you got no phallus at all because I cut it out like I did back in the days when I used to hang you black people up on a tree and castrate you. Now I call it not castration, I call it sexual alteration. Don't you want your sex alterated, boy? You know?
Yeah.
Come on in. I can alter your sex, and not only that, there's a bonus that goes with it. If you spread that word around the neighborhood, I'll give you good money. I'll put you in the movies. I'll put you on television.
You said black people need to stay away from each other. Since you brought up black people in your last statement, why did you say that black people need to stay away from each other unless there's going to be some productivity?
Yes, black people should stay away from each other because as victims of racism, the racists have filled our minds full of poison. So whenever we come in contact with each other, the poison immediately begins to spread. Black people walk around full of poison. You can almost see it in our eyes. When we pass each other on the sidewalks, we're loaded with it. It's been put there. We weren't born with it. We didn't have that look in our eyes when we were little people, just little toddlers. We were wide open to the world, just like all people are when you're a toddler. But when you are in an evil system, a system that is designed deliberately to produce evil thoughts, to produce animosity, to produce violence, then that toddler, as he or she grows, begins to pick up the poison that's already here. And then the poison is spread as that person comes in contact.
Put some respect on my name.
Particularly with persons of like persuasion. This is why black people sitting on a bus, you can almost feel the atmosphere of hostility there. That's not a natural thing. That's artificial. And it's all put there by the white supremacists long before the bus was built, long before the people got on the bus. Every black person must realize this. So what do you do about it? Codification is all about what you do. You make sure that anything that you say to someone before you open your mouth is of constructive value. Anything that you do with someone, you sit down and plan it first and make sure that what you're planning is of constructive value. Otherwise, black people should go the other way when they see each other. They shouldn't even come in contact with each other. They should cross the street almost before they say anything to each other, because once they say anything, the poison starts.
Put some respect on it.
Unless they already have something in mind to say that is of constructive value. Now, we just tried this. This is what you call the process of counter-racist codification. You're working against racism right there. But see, black people just cannot continue to do like they're doing, and that is wait until they make contact and then try to figure out what to say and what to do, and it comes out all messed up right from the jump. As we well know from experience, we should have learned that by now. So we should agree that we avoid each other. Avoid each other like we are carrying SARS.
That's what I was going to say, put it in the terms of that we're carrying viruses.
Yes. Yes. There is such a virus as, social viruses that we send, messages that we send with eye contact, with everything. This is why you'll find a black person who will gun down someone with a 9mm in a line in a grocery store about nothing but a look. We're so full of poison, we're loaded with it. So if we back off from each other, avoid each other and say, now, I'm not going to say anything to this person that I see coming a block away unless it's something constructive. Otherwise, I'm going to avoid eye contact and every other kind of contact.
Well,
see, now, there is a governor on black people where that poison doesn't take place. And that is when that same black people, two black people coming down the street, they will start building up poison for each other a block away. But when they come in contact with white people, the poison is nullified because they know that white people can put a hurting on them. They know what power really is. Unless, of course, they happen to corner some white person off somewhere in an alley or something. But black people don't have that automatic poison rising to the surface because the poison hasn't been put there for them to have that kind of animosity toward white people. Now, that's not to say that it should be there, but the poison shouldn't be there at all. Black people should be like Mr. Rogers when it comes to interacting with each other.
Is this subconscious that we have this poison in us and that are not aware of it? And I know that the answer to the question, but I have to pose the question to you.
We're not only aware of it, we have come to glorify it. Black people wake up in the morning thinking about how we can spread poison among each other.
Consciously
and we call
or
it,
subconsciously?
It's conscious because now it has become the black lifestyle. We call it the ghetto lifestyle. We call it the black community lifestyle. It is a major disaster of the planet. Major. This is why we slaughter each other all over the planet in huge numbers, just like it's nothing at all. It's nothing like the sound of the 9mm, one of Adolf Hitler's favorite cartridges. Hitler's been long dead, and he is reported to have not cared very much for black people. But one of the bullets that came out of World War II was a 9mm cartridge, and it is being used everywhere among black people and glorified as the principal instrument for spreading poison and making death among black people wherever they happen to be. The sound of the 9mm in the night. Pow, 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 pow. Glorified and enjoyed by many black people wherever they happen to be. It is a total universal disgrace. But we have that. So how do you avoid it? Avoid contact. A bunch of black people getting together, 10 of them, with no constructive agenda, always means something ugly. Always. No constructive agenda. Pre-planned in detail. The Million Man March worked because it was pre-planned.
So what about
it was of constructive value, and
so
everyone understood that. See, it's not something that's in the people by nature. It's something that's carefully planted there. So you can plant, you can remove that, if no more than just temporarily, by having a plan. Say now, when everyone does this, when we all come together, the agenda is as follows. Everyone will deport themselves with decorum. There will be no throwing down of trash. And if you happen to throw some down or see some that's been thrown down, pick it up and put it in a receptacle. Now see, this is a pre-plan. Now black people work very well. This is why the churches, for the most part, work. When black people come to church, they have a code.
That's what I was going to ask you about the black church.
So black people, well, when black people at least come to church, they at least have an agreement in advance. So we're going to kind of act like for a few hours we have some sense. Unlike the way we acted before we came in here, even though when we leave here we're going to revert to type. But for 2 or 3 hours, we're going to go according to the little code that we have set up about the way you conduct yourself during these services. And so that's just a little respite.
What about religion?
Well, religion is nothing. Here again, you define what is a religion. It's a strong belief backed up by action.
Okay.
Now, the strongest religion on the planet is the religion of white supremacy. Now, a person might say, well, white supremacy is not a religion. Yes, it is. It's a strong belief backed up by action that has a God. Well, what is the God of a white supremacist? The God of a white supremacist is a white supremacist. They are their own gods. This is why they are very determined and very focused and very arrogant and very efficient. When they get ready to do anything, they have total confidence, and they do not take kindly to any images of a God that does not look exactly like them. They consider any other images as being inferior or non-existent.
Okay.
So it's everything that a white supremacist does reinforces white supremacy. They don't come around. They don't even come around black people unless they have that in mind.
Or unless they have to.
Everything.
Unless they have to.
Yes. And the only time they do, the only time they show up anywhere, it has something to do with the muscle of white supremacy.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, they're not going to show. Even when they come in the guise of doing other things, as people who are called Indians will testify. They'll say that they come, here again with the words, the forked tongue. And they're very efficient. But I don't want to spend all of the day just talking about what they do. A lot of people are familiar with that. And a lot of people may not be. But I also want to emphasize, what do you do? Like we have touched on some things.
Yes.
In every instance, meaning in every situation that you're in, there should be a prescribed way. That's the one thing that black people do not have, is a codified way of handling every situation. Not some, not guesswork, not shuffling and head scratching and wondering what to do or what to say, but precision work. That's the one thing that's missing. That's the one thing that has been missing ever since everybody started trying to deal with racism. That's in the black people that, hey, we let that fella get that seat to show that, you know, we're pretty nice people, basically. But that little demonstration was just that, a demonstration. We don't intend for that to take root. You know, we don't intend for you people to get any ideas that racism is not the basis for what we believe in, because it is. It's the only thing that we believe in, because it's the only workable, most successful government, the government of racism, that has lasted so long and run in an efficient manner. Now, we will, you know, tip our hats to you people every now and then and let you find a little opening here where you can demonstrate to us that we have done a pretty good job of raising you.
The D is silent.
But don't get carried away. Don't think that you're qualified to tell white people what to do, because you're not. Because we taught you, you didn't teach us. Fella, just shut up. What did he keep telling the empty chair? Shut up.
Yes.
You know, don't say anything else. You talk too much anyway. You've had your say. We've let you come. We've let you warm the seat. We've let you drive around, ride around in limousines to get the feel of it, know how it's like. You can go out and tell all your other people, black people, all your little pickaninnies, what life is like in the White House and whatnot. Now, get back to the plantation where you belong. We have always given our Negroes watermelon day out of 1 year on the plantation. We used to do that. Let all the people from the slave shacks come up and throw watermelon rinds all over the tailored lawns of the big house. It would be, we're just going to extend it a little further, because one thing, we want to do a whole bunch of damage, mainly put hits on people, mostly black people, on his watch, so that history will record. What was that black president known for? Well, he really didn't do anything about money. He didn't hardly have any competence about getting anything done, but he helped us to kill a lot of people. That would be the record. I think that's the aim of the white supremacists for Mr. Obama's record. Oh, yeah, well, now when it came to putting hits on people, in fact, we can always use them to do some droning now, you know. Hey, if you want to be a successful black person, we got some droning we want you to do. We got some people we think ought to be dead. So we don't want to have a record of killing people ourselves all the time. We want black people to be known to be excellent hitmen.
So a non-white person, they say, well, you know, President Obama, he is clearly a non-white person. There is a white person who is working at Wendy's, making minimum wage, struggling. You are not going to tell me that President Obama is inferior to that white person, that President Obama is less than that white person working at Wendy's. What would you say to that?
I would say he's still under the system of white supremacy, and is a white supremacist, according to Mr. Obama himself. He wouldn't have that job.
You're saying if it was not for the white people who practice racism, white supremacy, Mr. President Obama would not be in the White House?
If any black person who forgets that is forgetting a very important fundamental. He couldn't even been running. His name would have not been known. He wouldn't have had a white mother in Kansas who could teach him anything if the white supremacists had not agreed to that. See, I'm talking about white supremacy, thinking about it in depth, not just on the surface. There are a lot of black people just think he just walked in there and say, hey, I'm a president, I'm going to be president, and I'm going to be president because I want to be president, and it don't make no difference what you white people think. He didn't walk in there like that.
What you gonna do? What you gonna do?
He was campaigning. He said, I'm asking you all to help me. And white people came out in Springfield, Illinois, by the thousands, and took a look at him and said, you know what? I think I'll give this boy a chance, you know, to go through the training that we have given him, you know. Because, you know, and like Mr. Obama himself said, you know, in 4 years you can snatch me out of here anyway. They can snatch him out of there before 4 years. Yeah, he can give up that seat tomorrow if the white people decide, hey, that's right. He'll walk right in there, right in the middle of all them papers that are stacked up on his desk. And he's trying to solve problems and all like that. And they walk right in there and they tell him, hey, just like the mafioso, the organized crime, which is what white supremacy is. They just walk in and say, hey, you know, we made a decision this morning. You're out of here. We got a janitor's job for you at Union Station. And that's where he will be. He came to work at 9, at 10, he's down there putting on his janitor's cap and drawing his equipment out of the storage room for buffing floors. First black president. Photograph of it. You know how Mr. Obama looks.
Yes, sir.
He can look the same way, smiling, behind a broom in Union Station in Springfield, Illinois, or whatever the train station is there. You say, how did you go from president to here? White people decided it. Say, well, what do the black people think about that? Well, who cares? They better try to hold on to that janitor's job they got if they got one. Well, Haiti is on the list of what's supposed to be. Haiti, the people who are called Haitians, predominantly are people who are classified as non-white, but they're not supposed to ever have anything under the system of white supremacy except punishment for being arrogant enough under Toussaint to think that you, with your military skills, can take us over or tell us what to do. So many a historian has said that the reason Haiti is in the shape that it's in now, and sort of like the head wagging people of the world, you might say, everybody kind of looks on them with great pity. It's because the white supremacists made that decision. We're going to make examples of you. Don't you ever think that you can have military force against me, us white supremacists of the world. and we're going to make a perennial example of you up until the point we decide that we're not going to make that example. But you're going to be in poverty. You're going to be pitiful. You're going to be beggars of the first order. You're going to be dislocated trying to find a place to go because you can't stand being where you are, because I'm going to see to it that where you are will never be anything until I decide that you're going to be something.
That's like putting a vice grip on somebody.
Yes, and that's, you know, they're letting the dark people of the entire world know, hey, you want to get in my face, look at Haiti. That's what's going to happen to you.
It's going to happen.
Now get out of my face. You can be comfortable in a prison, which is what the white supremacists have made the world for people of color, a prison. They've made the entire planet a prison that they run. And what happens in a prison? You assign people their bunks, where they eat, where they're going to get their food, where they can be at any given time. You just can't be any place. You got to get, if you have color in your skin, you've got to get permission from those white people, not all white people I'm saying, but those white people who believe in white supremacy, they're the ones who are running things. So they tell a person, black, brown, red, yellow, beige, tan, anybody who has color in his or her skin, they say where you can be on this planet. They say, you can't come here. You can't go there. You better not cross that river. You didn't get my permission. Boy, girl, gal, you didn't get my permission. Get my permission before you cross that river, before you cross that ocean, before you come in my ocean, or before you violate my airspace. You better not borrow a plane or nothing like that and fly in my airspace without my permission. I tell you people of color where you can go. If you want to trade with somebody, even one of your cousins, I mean, on a distant island somewhere, you better get my permission before you take off, because I will stop you on the high seas. You're on my ocean. This is my ocean. I don't care where the ocean is. It's mine. You get my permission. The white supremacists, they manufacture hatred because you have to do that. And you have, if you're going to dominate people and then mistreat them based on that domination and say that these people are eligible. You do admit that the people are really people, but you say they are a breed of people who are eligible to be mistreated. So you have to teach that to your offspring systematically over a period of time. You drum that into their heads over and over again. And you even drum that into the heads of the people that you're going to mistreat. You teach them, look at yourself in the mirror. You are nothing. You are nothing. You are nothing. You are something to be despised. Anything that looks like you, including your mother and your father and your neighbors, if it looks like you and it's moving around on this planet, you should despise it. Why? Because it is worthy of being despised. Why? Because it is dark. That's why. And anything in the form of a person that has dark skin should be despised. Say amen, boy. Say amen, girl, behind what I just told you. Anything that looks like it might be, just might be, in the form of a person, but that person has dark skin. The darker, the more that person or that thing that looks like a person is supposed to be despised. And by it being despised, you let it exist, but you let it exist with the understanding that it's supposed to be mistreated. If you tell it to do something and it doesn't do it, and it begins to run away from you, you shoot it. It's It's a thing. It's even something that you can't even describe as being on the level of a dog. Because after all, I mean, you know, a dog does have some type of proportionate something that you can value. But this thing in the form of a person that you call a black person, you don't know what that is, except it's something you're supposed to, if you are classified as white, and even if you are classified as black, you are supposed to despise that thing and not only express it in words every now and then, not so much in the modern days, but you certainly express it in your actions toward it. Put it last on your list of things that are supposed to be given any kind of constructive consideration. And this is the society that we're in, worldwide. And that's another thing. Stop talking about in the Northwestern Hemisphere. This is worldwide, always has been. White supremacy is everywhere. There's no place you can go where it doesn't reign supreme. That's what it means by supreme. That's everywhere, in every area of activity. Economics, they control it. If there's any people of color calling themselves having some kind of economic system that's not subject to the white supremacists, you're fooling yourself. Education, they hoard all the knowledge and have you come to them to get it. They have it set up like that. And they tell you how much of it you can get. And not only that, if you're a person of color, they tell you what you can use it for and what you better not use it for. And they got the muscle to back it up. And then that's economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. And if you have color in your skin, they dominate your movements in all of these areas of activity, truth be told. Yes, the white supremacists do this in all 9 areas of activity all of the time.
Okay.
See, in other words, the way to confuse people is to lead them to have questions with no answers. That's what confusion is. Lots of questions with no answers. Why is this happening? Why is that happening? What are those people doing over there? Why are they doing it? And all like that.
I see.
Well, in all the areas of activity, the white supremacists say, keep those dark-skinned people confused.
So,
and that way, confusion brings on what? Frustration. Oh, you improve your self-esteem by doing things that work. This is what self-esteem comes from. Doing things that work, and work in a comfortable, fashion. In other words, you get comfort from it. And your self-esteem automatically is being built on you doing things and saying things that work for you. That's what self-esteem is. Doesn't work against you. Your self-esteem starts disappearing when you're doing things that are working against you. I mean, it just starts slowly easing away from you so that you don't have any left. But all so-called self-esteem comes from you know what to do, you know how to solve problems. See, basically that's it, problem solving. And that's where self-esteem comes from. When you get to the place you have a whole lot of problems, you don't know how to solve them, your self-esteem goes, and then you just start doing any kind of old thing. Just start lashing out at anything because you're frustrated. Confusion brings about frustration. Frustration brings about all kinds of chaos. And the chaos brings about all kinds of conflict if you're around other people. Because you'll just lash out at everybody and then eventually lash out against yourself. I mean, what you're doing when you really just lash out at anybody and everybody with no particular reason for doing so, which is what black people do a lot of. That's why we are very toxic when we're around each other. We're frustrated, we're confused, we're angry, and we're going to take it out on somebody. We don't want to keep just hitting ourselves upside the head all day long, so we hit somebody else upside the head. Why? Because they look like us. And so since we're the ones that are confused, we want to lash out at anything that looks like the person that's confused.
Yes, sir.
So the person that looks like me is me. So since I'm not looking in a mirror all day long, and I'm angry with myself because I can't figure out what to do with myself. So I will pick out somebody that looks like me. This is the way it works. And I will lash out at that person. Might even kill him.
Wow.
What you looking at me for? Oh, you see my weaknesses. You see I'm confused. You see that I don't know what I'm doing. You think that I'm not a man. I'll kill you. I'll kill you. That's what I'll do with you. That'll take care of that. Meaning, I'm shooting myself. Because when I see them, I see myself. Because they're weak also. And they, you know, black people expose each other's weaknesses and then get mad about it.
And then get mad about it. And then don't stand.
That is the reason we slaughter each other. That's going to happen. And when it happens again, it's going to happen again. I don't care how many demonstrations you have, or how many filling stations you burn down. It's going to continue to happen. What you do, you cannot attract that kind of attention. Mothers have to teach their offspring. We're in a war. We are in a war. If you don't know where you are, you're in a war. You're in a war. Anybody spotted with a gun in a war is subject to die instantly, or with anything that looks like a gun. Period. Christmas morning, I mean, you got cap guns and whatnot under the Christmas tree. You go outside with one of those guns and whatnot, you're subject to die. Every mother has to understand that. Every father. Otherwise, you're just going to keep crying over these funerals. You have to understand the kind of world you're in. You can't be nonchalant about that. You're not in Oz. You're in a hostile world. You're surrounded by hostility. You always wake up every morning knowing that you're in a war. That's the first order of business. We're not in peacetime. There's no such thing as that. We're in the middle of a war that never has been stopped. There's no such thing as peace being declared. People declare peace, but I'm talking about in a functional sense.
Yes, sir.
In reality, ever since the beginning of white supremacy, which is what I call the war, that's the only war that really counts. That's the war, that's the umbrella war of the entire planet. It's never stopped since the day that it was established. And everything that happens in a war is just a battle. And so the battles, the different battles are going on in different fronts. I mean, Ferguson and this and that, but the battles happen every day. Every time there's an encounter of conflict between one white person and a non-white person. Every encounter is a part of the war.
Yes, sir.
In fact, even the most, what you might call bland or peaceful encounters, it's an encounter because there's a war going on between white and non-white.
Yes, sir.
Worldwide.
Yes, sir.
It's never stopped.
Never.
I mean, and people say, well, I work with white people every day. We get along fine and all like that. You're in a war, whether you know it or not, because the white supremacists who are running everything have never said that we are declaring a peace. We are continuing the system of white supremacy. So just because there are individual people who are smiling and laughing and joking and whatnot, and they're going to football games together and waving pennants and all like that, doesn't say that there's not a war going on that is never stopped. So what we need is codification to wrap this war up. It's got to be accelerated, and that's what I try to write with my book, the textbook for victims of white supremacy. We have to accelerate the pace in ridding the world of racism and replacing it with a world of justice.